My 21st birthday was supposed to be the one day I didn't have to share with my sister. It sounds childish when I say it out loud, but when you grow up in a house where another person's moods dictate the entire family's schedule, even the smallest chance of independence feels like a miracle. I had clung to this day for months. The reservations were set, my two closest friends were invited, and my parents had promised that we would finally celebrate something for me. I woke up early that morning, buzzing with a nervous happiness I rarely allowed myself to feel at home. The sun was warm across my window, and for a moment I let myself believe this birthday might actually be different. I put on the new outfit I had saved specifically for today and headed downstairs, already imagining the dinner, the cake, the laughter I hoped would fill the evening. Instead, I walked straight into chaos. Emily, my sister, was sprawled dramatically across the living room couch, sobbing into one of Mom's decorative pillows like her life had just collapsed. Mom hovered beside her with a cold cloth, dabbing her forehead like she was a Victorian woman fainting from heartbreak. Dad stood nearby, arms crossed, looking frustrated but sympathetic. What happened? I asked, my voice already sinking because I knew. Whatever it was would become my problem too. Emily lifted her head just enough to glare at me. I can't believe you're having the dinner here, she wailed. All my friends will think we're boring. I told Mom I wanted to go to Loon Bistro today, but no, you had to ruin everything by making plans. I blinked at her, stunned. It's my birthday, so, she snapped. You can choose any other day. I had plans, and there it was. The pattern I knew by heart. Before I could respond, Mom placed a gentle hand on Emily's shoulder. Sweetheart, it's okay. We'll fix it. Don't cry. Then she turned to me with an apologetic sigh I'd grown up despising. Honey, your sister is having a rough morning. She's overwhelmed. Poor thing. We all need to be considerate. It took every ounce of control not to laugh in disbelief. Considerate. Emily's wants were emergencies. My feelings were inconveniences. That was the silent rule of our household. But Mom, I tried. It's my birthday dinner, you said. Dad cut me off. Can't you see your sister is upset? This isn't about you right now. My stomach twisted. It's supposed to be, I whispered. Dad rubbed his temple as if I were the difficult one. We just need to prioritize what matters. Emily's really fragile today. I felt something inside me wilt. Of course, it never mattered that Emily's tantrums were premeditated performances, or that she'd been perfectly fine until the attention shifted away from her for 5 minutes. It never mattered that I'd spent weeks planning a night I hoped would make me feel like part of the family. Mom exhaled sharply. We're postponing your birthday dinner until things settle, maybe next weekend. It's just unfair to put pressure on your sister when she's struggling. Unfair. That word hit harder than it should have. My throat tightened, and for a moment I thought I might cry. But the tears didn't come. Instead, everything inside me went still, quiet and cold. The kind of quiet that happens right before something breaks. Emily sniffled loudly, satisfied with her victory. And for the first time on a birthday, I felt myself begin to shut down. They hadn't just canceled a dinner, they canceled me. I didn't go back to my room right away. I stood in the hallway for a few minutes, listening to the muffled sounds of my parents fussing over Emily. Every coo, every comforting word, every sigh meant for her felt like another small cut. I had learned long ago that pain doesn't always arrive in big, dramatic moments. Sometimes it comes as a series of tiny stings that never heal because they never stop. Eventually, I climbed the stairs and closed my bedroom door behind me. The house didn't feel like home. It felt like a place I'd been tolerated in out of obligation. I stared at the decorations I'd hung the night before, small twinkle lights, a happy birthday banner, little touches meant to make the evening feel special. I had been proud of them. I thought they might surprise my parents. Now they just looked pathetic. I sank onto the edge of my bed and felt the sting finally reach my eyes. My birthday, the one day I asked for, the one day that didn't revolve around my sister's moods, and they took it like it was nothing. Downstairs, I heard Emily's whining grow louder. She always ruins everything, make her apologize. I pressed my palms to my eyes. It was absurd. She was the one who ruined things, always, but in this house, truth didn't matter, tantrums did. Then came the moment that snapped the last remaining thread inside me. Dad's voice floated up the stairs, low but clear. "She'll get over it, honey. She always does, but Emily, she's delicate. We have to keep her stable, keep her stable. Keep her happy, keep her above me." It was like being erased while standing in plain sight. I stood abruptly, my pulse pounding with a strange, dangerous calm. I wasn't going to sit in this room and wait to be told again that someone else mattered more. I wasn't going to make myself invisible to keep the peace. Not today, not on the day that was supposed to belong to me. My feet carried me downstairs before I fully realized what I was doing. The voices died as I reached the last step. My parents didn't notice me. They were too busy comforting the household deity sprawled on the couch. I walked past them without a word, through the kitchen and into the garage. My hand hovered for a moment over the hook where Dad hung his keys, each one labeled neatly. The familiar metallic glint of the Mercedes emblem caught the light, Dad's pride and joy, the car no one touched. The car he cleaned religiously. The car he valued more than most relationships. The irony wasn't lost on me. I grabbed the key, just holding it made my heart race, but not with fear, with liberation. For the first time in my life, I was choosing myself over their rules, their expectations, their endless prioritizing of Emily's emotional whims. The garage door rumbled open, loud enough to shake the walls. That was the moment my parents finally realized something was happening. "Wait, what was that?" Mom shouted from inside. I opened the driver's door. The leather interior smelled like money and ego. Perfect. I slipped inside and inserted the key. The engine purred to life, smooth, powerful, expensive. My hands trembled on the wheel, but they steadied as the realization settled in. I didn't owe them another ruined moment. I didn't owe them my birthday. I didn't owe them me. As I backed out of the driveway, the front door flew open. Dad ran out shouting my name, but I didn't slow down. I didn't even look at him. For the first time ever, I didn't care. I hit the road, the sunlight catching on the hood of the Mercedes, as if the universe were lighting a path just for me. And as the house shrank in the rearview mirror, I felt something warm and fierce bloom inside me. Freedom. I didn't have a destination in mind when I pulled out of the neighborhood. My hands were tight on the wheel, my pulse still buzzing with adrenaline. The world outside felt strangely new, like someone had turned up the saturation on everything. The sky looked brighter, the air lighter. Even the hum of the engine felt like a heartbeat syncing with mine. I drove aimlessly for a while, letting the road decide for me. Eventually, my brain cleared enough for one name to surface, Ava. If there was one person who understood how my family worked, how they didn't work, it was her. I pulled over in the parking lot of a small park, and finally turned my phone back on out of necessity more than curiosity. The screen exploded with notifications immediately. 23 missed calls, Mom 14 missed calls, Dad 6 messages, Emily, and several texts in all caps. I didn't read a single one. Instead, I scrolled to Ava's number and hit call. She picked up on the first ring. "Where are you? You sound weird." That was all it took. The dam broke, not with tears. I was long past tears, but with the story. I told her everything in a rush. The canceled dinner, Emily's meltdown, my parents siding with her like always, the recording I had overheard, my decision to take the car. Ava didn't react with shock or judgment, only outrage. "They canceled your 20. First because she had a tantrum," she spat. "Absolutely not. Come over right now." "I don't want to show up like some storm cloud," I said weakly. "You're not a storm cloud," she said firmly. "You're the sun they keep pretending is a lamp." It was the kindest thing anyone had said to me in months. I drove to the apartment she shared with our friend Luke. They were both waiting outside when I arrived, arms crossed, expressions ready for battle. Luke let out a low whistle when he saw the Mercedes. "Damn, you did not?" "I very much did." Ava grinned. "Happy birthday to you, you beautiful menace." They herded me inside before I could even finish locking the car. The apartment smelled like vanilla candles and leftover pizza, half home, half chaos. A perfect contrast to the chilly predictability of my parents' house. Within minutes, Ava had dug out a small cupcake from their freezer, a ridiculously tiny thing with freezer frost on the edges, and stuck a sparkler into it. She lit it with a lighter they kept for incense. There, she said, presenting it to me like it was $1,000 cake. The first celebration of the night. Luke turned off the lights. The sparkler hissed and cracked, filling the dark room with flickering gold. They sang, off-key too loud, smiling so wide it hurt my heart. For the first time that day, I actually felt 21. We spent the next hours wandering around the city, eating greasy street food, laughing until our ribs hurt, taking photos in front of neon signs like tourists. They refused to let my family's chaos ruin the night. Every time I tried to apologize for intruding, Ava whacked my arm lightly. You deserve joy, she kept saying. Stop apologizing for existing. By the time we ended up on the rooftop of their building, the city lights glowing beneath us, I felt lighter than I had in years. I lay back against the warm concrete, staring at the stars. My phone buzzed again. Another flood of calls and messages. I flipped it over without checking. Ava nudged me gently. You okay? I nodded. Yeah, I think I finally am. Luke raised an imaginary glass. To the birthday girl. To freedom. Ava added, but privately, silently, I toasted something else. I didn't rush home the next morning. I took my time driving, letting the quiet hum of the Mercedes fill the silence. The sunrise bled soft gold across the dashboard, warming my hands on the wheel. It felt symbolic, like the world was offering me a gentle reset before the storm waiting on my doorstep. And there would be a storm. I pulled into the driveway just past 9. Before I even opened the car door, the front door flew open. Dad stepped out like he'd been pacing for hours. Mom hovered behind him, arms crossed tight against her chest, and Emily lingered farther back, face arranged in an expression of wounded superiority. The second my feet touched the ground, the accusations began. Dad stormed forward. How dare you take my car without permission? Do you know how worried we were? Mom's voice was high and brittle. We didn't sleep all night. You had us terrified. What were you thinking? Emily let out a dramatic sniffle. She doesn't think about anyone but herself. I told you she was jealous of me. Jealous of her, I almost laughed. Instead, I stepped past Dad and set the keys on the small table in the entryway. I filled the tank, I said calmly. You'll find it cleaner than when I left. That wasn't the response they wanted. Dad's face reddened. This is serious. You stole, I borrowed, I corrected. You canceled my 21st birthday. I needed space. Mom's anger flickered. We didn't cancel it. We postponed it because your sister was upset. The calm that had carried me home began to settle deeper inside me, solidifying like armor. You didn't postpone it, I said quietly. You erased it, like you always do. Dad opened his mouth to argue, but I raised my phone before he could speak. I pressed play, the recording from yesterday, their words crystal clear. She'll get over it. She always does. But Emily, she's delicate. We have to keep her happy. Our priority should be Emily. The color drained from both their faces. Mom sputtered. That was out of context. No, I said, that is the context. It has been for years. Emily stepped forward, her voice shrill. You're insane. You're twisting everything. Mom, Dad, tell her she's being crazy. But for once, no one rushed to comfort her. The air shifted, the first crack in the system that had always held me down. Right then, a car pulled into the driveway. My grandmother stepped out, her expression sharp as a blade. She had driven over after I texted her late last night, not with details, just with a simple request. Can you come tomorrow morning? I need you. She walked up the steps slowly, eyes sweeping across the three of them. I heard the recording, she said calmly, and I've heard enough over the years to know this isn't an isolated moment. Mom shrank back like a child caught cheating on a test. Mom, please, she's exaggerating. No, Grandma said firmly. You've been favoring Emily her entire life, and you've allowed her to mistreat her sister without consequence. Canceling her birthday, that's cruelty. Dad bristled. It was one decision. It was the latest in a pattern. Grandma snapped. Emily burst into tears, expecting sympathy. Why is everyone attacking me? Grandma didn't even look at her. You are 20, 3 years old, and still behaving like a spoiled child. That ends today. The silence that followed was heavy and unfamiliar. I had never seen the family dynamic tilt in my favor. Not once. It felt surreal, like watching a building finally collapse after years of cracks spreading through the foundation. Mom's voice wavered. We didn't realize. I cut her off. That's the problem. You never realized. You never listened. You never cared. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't beg for anything, not love, not apologies, not understanding. I was done performing for scraps. I'm staying with Grandma for a while. I said simply, maybe longer. Mom gasped. You can't just leave. You left me behind years ago. I replied. I walked to Grandma's car, feeling lighter with every step. I didn't look back, not even when Emily wailed my name or when Dad called after me with threats disguised as concern. As Grandma pulled away from the house, she placed a warm hand over mine. I'm proud of you, she whispered. For the first time in my life, the words didn't sound conditional. Leaving didn't feel like running away. It felt like finally walking toward myself, and that more than any argument, any punishment, any revenge, was the sweetest justice of all.